should I change disability representatives? Okay, first of all, let me start with the most basic fundamental response to that. It's really up to you. And I hate to say it like that, but it's really up to you. If you're looking for some magical point where, that's the point where I should drop them. I'm not going to probably tell you that because there's nothing I can really tell you. But what I can tell you this, is a few things you want to keep at the back of your mind. Speak to your representative first. You'd be surprised the number of times people switch. It just blows my mind where something's going on with their representative that they're not happy with. But instead of telling the representative, they just switch. Not realizing that in the grander scheme of things they just sat down with their representative and got an understanding of what's going on. They could have avoided this problem. Well, no, they just switched. But I'm like, okay, no problem. I always tell people, speak to your representative first. Identify why you want to change. The reality is that everybody's reps, we're all governed by the same body in terms of how we do things. It's not trying to be funny, but the reality is we're all governed by the same body in terms of how we do things. Now, mind you, if you're an attorney, you're governed by your bar rules. If you're a non-attorney, you're particularly governed by the requirements for the Social Security Administration. So we all kind of fall in the same footsteps in terms of what our responsibilities are. In terms of how we get paid, we all pretty much get paid the same, with the exception of a few companies that are like offshoots of insurance companies. They have relationships where they pay for things of that nature. Take all that out the equation. But identify why you want to change. Meaning, ask yourself, is it because the staff is rude? Maybe they're not calling you back. Maybe they're not giving you any guidance. You're not getting any answers to your questions. You're having a difficult time talking to the person who's representing you in your case. You're having difficulty finding ways to communicate with them. Maybe you'd rather use email or text or secure message, and they're just not responding to anything. Identify why. So this way, when you decide to go to someone new, you already know in your mind what you want in terms of what your expectations are. But here's something that I want you to be mindful of as well. Recognize that if you terminate, or not even terminate, if you just go and hire another representative, that the other representative has a right to request attorney fees. The Social Security regulations are unique in that it allows for multiple reps the opportunity to petition for fees. So that means, in other words, they have the right to reserve the right to ask to get paid for the work they did on your case if you win. And that's important because that might make it tougher for you to find another representative, because some reps would prefer not to take on a new client if they had a prior rep and that rep did not waive their fees. Why is that? Well, the problem is that if I sign you up and I win your case, Social Security pays me directly, no problem. Easy peasy, no big deal, squeaky clean. The problem that pops up is that if you have a fee petition, what ends up happening is that both sides have to sit down and explain in detail in terms of itemization and everything of what specific work they did on your case that should justify them getting paid. And unfortunately, imagine a representative coming in really late. They know pretty much that their ability to ask for a large amount, because the cap is pretty much $25,000, $6,000, whichever less, but it never goes over 25%. I just said that really quick, but keep that in the back of your mind. But it's important to recognize is that, representatives are business people too. They're not trying to add any extra work. Doing fee petitions like that is extra work. And if they know that they're coming into a case where the judge is trying to decide how to apportion the amount of money for fees, and you've got one representative who spent like 80 to 90%, because I've seen this happen, where you'll have this one representative who was with you on your new application. They helped you do your first two appeals. They got all your medical records. They got all your forms. But then, for some reason, you weren't happy because they weren't moving fast enough. They denied you. You dropped them, and you hired another attorney like a day or two before the hearing. And then that attorney now can only really ask for getting paid for just doing the hearing. So keep that in the back of your mind. So when you find yourself in the process of switching representatives, just remember, your old representative does have a right to ask for fees unless they choose to waive those fees. And you can always contest those as well in terms of the amount of work they did on your case. There's no short answer for when you should change. It really just depends on you, but make sure that you get a full understanding as to why you're changing. So this way, if you do stay with the representative you have, they have an understanding of your expectations. And if you go to a new representative, they have an understanding of your expectations as well.
Tune in tomorrow as we talk about how you handle a special job opportunity during the disability process.